Good evening. So today we'll talk about CROS and BiCROS hearing aids. So what are CROS and BiCROS hearing aids? And we'll see how they work, what are they, who needs them, and what are their benefits. So first let's talk about CROS hearing aids. So before moving on to the topic, let's understand. So CROS and BiCROS hearing aids doesn't mean they're somewhat of a new technology of a hearing aid. No, they are basically our contemporary hearing aids like our CIC and RIC and BT hearing aid. But it's just that the mode of their operation is different from a regular unilateral or a bilateral hearing aid. So CROS basically means contralateral routing of signal. So in order to understand, let's understand this. In this image, if you see, there is a ear which is unaidable ear, which is marked in the red color. So unaidable ear means the ear has a profound loss or a loss more than a profound level where hearing aid is not an option. So when that ear is unaidable, which means even if with an regular hearing aid, that ear cannot function as a normal one. So that's what we call an unaidable ear, so which is marked in the red color. And the other side we have a ear which is normal. So one side is normal and the other side is having an unaidable hearing loss. So in this scenario, what happens is, let's visualize that if a person is sitting in a group conversation, and when there is a group, basically in a group we sit in a circle, or we could be, we have people on our right side, we have people on our left side, so it could be anything. So let's say our right ear has an unaidable hearing loss, that is, it has a profound loss, and our left ear is normal. So when a person is talking from the right side, that individual will face difficulty in terms of understanding what is that person saying. But as well as when a person talks from the left side, they have no problem whatsoever. So in this situation, what we do is that we put a transmitter on the right side of the ear. So transmitter is basically, it picks up the sound and it will send it to the left ear, where we will have a hearing aid. But it's sort of like a receiver. It's not a full hearing aid, it's like a receiver. We have a transmitter here and we have a receiver here. So basically the right transmitter picks up the sound from the poor ear side and transmits it to the better ear. So this way the individual can hear even if a person talks from the left side as well as from the right side. So this way they will not have problem in terms of a group conversation. So the next one is BiCROS. So BiCROS basically means bilateral contralateral routing of signal. So what different is BiCROS from a CROS is that in CROS scenario we should have a side which is completely normal, but in BiCROS side we have both the ear which are affected, but one side of the hearing is unaidable, which means it could be profound, or it could be, it could have a corner audiogram, or it could be totally deaf, it could be anything. But on the other side we have a loss, but we have aided it. So in this scenario what happens is that, let's take same right side and left side, you can see which the unaidable side is marked with complete red and the aidable side is marked with a light red, which means they have a hearing loss, but it is somewhat of a corrected. So basically in the left side, in this scenario we have a left side, we have a hearing aid which amplifies the sound as well as which receives the sound from the right, that which is our deaf side. So this way the individual can again engage in a conversation although they have a loss in their better ear. So now let's just look at the criteria to go for a CROS and BiCROS, which I've already mentioned. So for a CROS we have one ear complete deafness. It's a complete deafness, it is not just a hearing loss. We have a complete deafness as one side and the other side is completely normal. So in this scenario we go for a CROS hearing aid. A BiCROS we go when there is a complete deafness at one side and the other side of the hearing aid, other side of the hearing also has a loss, where we can go for an aided ear, which means we can use a hearing aid in the other ear. So these are the scenarios where we go for a CROS and BiCROS. We should remember that just because one side there is let's say a severe loss and the other side is completely normal doesn't mean you have to go for a CROS, because in this case, because the side which has severe loss is still aidable. That means that particular uh, area, I mean that particular ear can be stimulated. So in this case we should not go for a cross. It's better to aid that ear and prevent the further deterioration of the hearing loss. So it's always like that, if we have a sort of a hearing in that side, it is advisable to prevent it rather than leaving it to completely degenerate. So that's not a good idea. So now, what are the advantages of cross and bicross hearing aid? So number one is that it improves awareness of sound from both direction. It makes our group communication easier. Listening efforts are becomes reduced listening efforts, and our group social interaction will become more natural. So these are the advantages. Now the limitations, I mean these also have certain limitations. So basically what are the limitations is that although our social interactions becomes easier, it will not replace our natural hearing, which is not possible. That is number one. And number two is that we will have difficulties when their environmental noises are too high on the initial period. But as we get used to it, the more our neural integrity and all are developed, it becomes easier. So these are the limitations. So what should you do? So number one is that you should consult a well qualified audiologist and let them run certain tests on you, and then find out what particular problems you have and what are the criterias that will help us to choose to go for a cross and a bicross. So like I told you before, just because one side there is a larger hearing loss, that means let's say one side is mild and the other side is profound or severe, is not a criteria for us to go for a cross. In this situation, the rehabilitation process might be a little more challenging for the audiologist, but the best choice is always, if a particular side of a hearing is stimulatable, then we should always stimulate it, so that we can prevent further complete deterioration of the hearing. So that is most crucial point. So, if you are someone you are suffering from a single sided deafness, then the best thing for you to do is that contact your audiologist, talk to them, let them run some tests, and find out if you're a candidate for a cross and a bicross, or is there any other better solutions.